Hey, this is Paul Crosby from the band Coldwards, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
One, two, three, four. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hey, Rita.
Hello,
Hey.
Mr. Soda Can and Paul.
Hey.
Hi.
Paul, that's my partner, Rita. She's over in Finland.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How are you doing, Paul?
I am amazing. I woke up again this morning, and that's a win.
That's a win.
I like that attitude.
Hell yeah. So thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. So for those not familiar with Coldwards, can you give us the 2-sentence elevator boardroom pitch?
Well, it's my new band that I started with my two sons, Zach and Sean. We're an alternative metal band from Houston, Texas.
Okay, fair enough. Nice and short.
With your sons. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that come about?
During 2020 COVID-19 lockdowns, obviously a lot of people know me from being the drummer for Saliva for 22 years. No one was able to tour then, obviously. So I was at home, and in order to break the boredom, I was just kind of writing songs, just to have something to do. And I was speaking to my son Sean, and I was telling him, I'm just writing some stuff because I'm bored. And he was like, send it over. So I sent it to him. He liked what he heard, and he was like, let me work on some stuff with you. So me and him just started working on some stuff basically. And then my other son, Zach, heard it, and he started contributing. And then the songs are coming out good. So we had kind of decided to just write some songs together and then maybe release a few songs just for the fun of it. No band, no nothing. And then everything just kept progressing. And eventually we had 10 songs, and we were like, well, I guess we should release this as a band. And then we shopped to some labels, got picked up by Wake Up Music Rocks, and then the rest is history.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
How is it like working with your children? Does it turn into like a power battle, or
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just happy that my kids allow me to be in their band for one.
Right.
They're most kids, when they hit a certain age, they don't want to do stuff with their parents because it's not cool
to do with their
anymore.
parents. Right.
But I'm fortunate that they actually want to be in a band with their dad, and it's pretty cool. It works great. We work really well together, obviously, and of course I'm the dad, so at the end of the day I got final say.
Yeah, this was the thing. Yeah.
Had you guys all grown up, or had they grown up listening to the same music as you, or how did that work out?
Well, obviously, with my history with Saliva and all of that stuff, they were exposed to music at a very early ages. But they actually listen to completely different. I mean, we have some basic musical influences that are the same, but they listen to stuff a lot different to me. Like Zach's really into EDM and hip hop. And Sean is into more heavy stuff, way more heavy stuff than I listen to. I used to listen to like all kind of heavy stuff, but I've mellowed out in my older age. So it just somehow works though, with everybody having completely different influences and tastes, and it all kind of comes through in our music. You can kind of hear different tinges of all kind of stuff in our music. So
excellent. Yeah, I mean, I heard Bad News. I've been jamming it before we started, and that's a great song. And what I wanted to say also is it's got a pretty deep meaning. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, the song was the idea of the song was basically written about my son Zach he was in another musical project. It was a hip hop project. And one of the guys that his other guy in his musical project kind of always made Zach feel like it was all him, and Zach couldn't really do anything without him. He kind of like gave him that notion,
Right.
and then obviously Zach ended up quitting that, and now he's in Coldwards. So the idea of the song was initially um, being involved with someone, whether it be in a band, a relationship, or whatever, that always makes you feel like you're inferior to them and that you can't succeed or be anything without that person.
Okay, fair enough. Rena?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, just from the notes, I figured it would have been more about like, I don't know, like getting into a gang or something, about the
Right.
whole like illusion of loyalty that isn't there, which is
Well,
like,
yeah,
and this is
absolutely.
like for younger kids, this is, this is a skill that you learn with age, right? To like be able to read people and their intentions and their whether they're trustworthy or not, and
Absolutely.
we can tell much better than a 19-year-old can.
Yes. And the other thing is too, is that's the basic concept of the song where Zach got the idea from, but we like to make our songs open for interpretation. So like what it means to somebody else is completely fine. Zach, I asked Zach to give me quote, a short quote about what the meaning of bad news is to describe to the overall listener. And here's what he said. Bad news is about losing touch with someone you care about when they've become surrounded by people that change them for the worse and become blinded by loyalty to people that will never reciprocate it.
Right.
So
That's
there's
a
that.
really really well worded description.
Yeah.
And these are like sad lessons of life, but they are needed. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Reality. Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, that you sort of have to come across these disappointments and learn about that type of people to be able to recognize them in the future. Ah,
Yeah. I
like
mean,
this rings a bell.
yeah, life is all about lessons, and if you're smart enough to learn from them, you'll evolve, and if you're not, you'll just stay in that circle.
Right.
Right. Well,
Interesting.
since you're now in a band with your boys, is it like your retirement plan for them to like, I don't know, whether they're gonna start bands on their own or like continue this one without you, and then you're like 75 in a wheelchair and always on tour with them, you're just there telling your like war stories of Saliva tours and, oh, this is nothing, boys, you should have been there back in
Yeah. Yeah.
98 when, like,
We used to have to walk to the gig uphill both ways.
Right.
No.
In the rain.
exactly. Yeah, we had very big
Actually,
straps that we each carry all our like gear
yeah.
with.
So I actually have what I do full time now is I have a band management company called PCM, Paul Crosby Management. I
Mm,
also manage Coldwards as well. So you know, if the band were to keep going on the trajectory it's on and it becomes lucrative for them, at some point, surely I will step off and just manage the band and they can get
Right.
some other drummer. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, they may eventually want to do their own bands. Who knows? Right now, we're just taking the ride, and um, our main goal when we started this band was just to do music together as a family, and
mm.
we've already accomplished that. So anything that happens from here on out, it's a icing on the cake,
I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool.
What is the writing for you guys like then? Are you guys all writing together because you're, in the same vicinity, or are you guys sending stuff back and forth? How does that work?
We're sending stuff back and forth. And me and my sons, are the main writers, and sometimes I have an idea and that starts the song. Sometimes it's Zach, sometimes it's Sean. Um, we just collaborate. Everybody, no matter whose idea it initially was, we all put our input in it at the end of the day. But like I said, sometimes I have songs, and that's how the whole thing started. Was I had some songs, and then they put their touch on it, and they'll send me their ideas. I'll put my touch on it. So it's pretty a pretty mutual collaboration.
That's great.
So no butting heads so far. Like, has it been a smooth ride, or has there been like, no, I want this, and no, you're not gonna get it, or like?
There's sometimes some butting heads, but not really butting heads. It's just obviously I've been doing this professionally for a really long time, so I kind of know more about structures and what's going to work and what's going to translate and what's not. So sometimes I have to go, look, that's probably not going to work. We're kind of straying off the path, and then have to explain it to them, and maybe threaten to take off my belt and bend them over my knee. But other than that,
you'd be grounded if you don't do it
yeah.
my way, right?
Other than that, yeah.
Going to bed without dinner,
well.
mister.
Yeah. You're grounded, yeah.
Are you guys planning on taking this out on the road?
Absolutely. We did our debut shows a couple of months ago. One was here in Houston at a pretty popular venue called Scout Bar, and then our second show was a festival opening for Nonpoint, Blacktop Mojo. There was like 5 nationals on that, so that was our second gig. We're working on a few more for this year, and then we're planning on next year trying to get it on as many festivals and stuff like that as possible. So
nice. So are you like one of those bands or families, I guess in this case, that's always writing, or you set time aside to write?
We're always writing. One of us is, and right now we actually have a folder in our Dropbox that probably has 15, 17 completed songs that we pick and choose from for releases. But usually a lot of times we end up, when we pick a song and we're like, that's going to be our next release, a lot of times we end up writing one even better before then and switch it up. So
nice. That's beautiful. Rena?
I don't have a specific thing right now.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.
But if you were to paint a perfect picture for 2024 for the band, what would it look like?
if I had my way, being on big major national tours, all the festivals, like I said, at this point, just being in a band with my sons and releasing music and having it well received is the goal's already been accomplished. But, if we could take it to a bigger level, sure, that would be even, cooler.
That's great. Hey, as we're doing this interview, I think we have a common friend or a friend in common. You know Rory Romano? I think
absolutely.
He was your TM, right?
He was our TM sound guy for a long time. I love Rory. He's awesome.
I've known Rory since we worked in the studios in New York City from, 1989 or 88 or something. I've known him forever.
He's a good dude and a great sound guy, great tour manager. He's awesome. We go a pretty good ways back. Probably not as far back as you and him, but I would say 12 years maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe even more, right? Because he was on that with you guys early on.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe more. Time slips me, so.
Yeah, that's funny. Small world.
Yeah, music world is definitely small.
Yeah. So what do you guys have planned then for the rest of this year?
Just obviously we just released Bad News. We're going to release another single called Flatline after this one. It's actually about um, one of my best friends and recently deceased guitar player from Saliva, Wayne Swinney. So we're going to drop that in a video for that. We're going to release the new EP is going to have 5 songs. We're going to release probably 4 singles and then release the EP. It's kind of the new way of doing things.
Yeah, it's definitely the new model.
I would say that the full EP would probably be out by sometime spring 2024. And we're just going to focus on releasing singles and maybe doing a couple of shows. And then, like I said, the main focus is to try to get on a bunch of festivals next year.
So you are going to stay with that sort of newer music business model of the singles every 6 weeks or something, as opposed to here's the record first or the EP first.
Absolutely. But I don't really do the we're going to do a single every 6 weeks or every 2 months kind of thing. I kind of make sure that we have the follow-up single video, everything ready for it. Then we release the single and I just watch it. And whenever it goes over the hump and starts to come back down, whenever that is, we'll drop the next one. It may be 6 weeks, 2 months. Maybe we'll get lucky. It'll be 6 months, but that's kind of the way I look at it.
So when you're putting the record again, I think there's a lot of artistic talent that's missing in like sequencing records now or EPs, right? Because nobody does that anymore.
Yeah. It definitely, and unfortunately, I come from the generation of you buy an album and you play it front to back and you just rock that for a while.
Like the way the artist meant it to be.
Yeah. It's like a picture,
right?
A piece of art. But unfortunately, if you do that now, a lot of the songs aren't going to get their day. They're not going to get their due diligence. So if you just release singles, the music listening audience is very ADD these days. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
So if you do it a single at a time, it gives it more attention to each song. And then a lot of people are not even doing EPs; they're just doing constant singles.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make sure we at least put it on an EP or an album at the end of all the singles, so that it still goes, in the right sequence. And for the rare few of us that still like to listen to an album in its entirety.
That's the way I like to consume music, the way you intended it to be, listened to and looking at the liner notes and, reading everything about it. That's, I think, a whole lot of art that's gone.
Me too. I still love that. That's how I do it.
Excellent. Rena, you got anything else?
No, I think we still need a bumper, unless you want to do silly pictures.
You want to do a picture? So we're going to do something.
We have this segment where we want to dig in deep to your psyche.
Okay.
And we show you a weird picture.
Be careful what you ask for.
No, that's what we want. These do really well on one-offs. So I've got a picture here. It's completely fucked up. Tell me what you see and what would be the next frame. All right.
All right, I'll do my best.
Yeah, it's gonna surprise you, I'm sure. But here you go. What do you got there?
Hold on one second. I'm kind of blind. Oh man.
That's the first initial response.
I gotta say though, like we've been looking at these now, and I think I'm getting pretty good, darn good at like deciphering what's going on, like, and what is the intended meaning. So no pressure, Paul, but just give us your take first.
Am I supposed to tell you what what I would add to this, or am I supposed to tell you? Am I supposed to try to decipher this?
I'm good with whatever you want to do.
First, just tell us what you see, because there's a lot of listeners who will not see this picture. Just describe it first, then tell us what you think is the gist of it, what's going on, and then thirdly, what's the next frame?
I see a drunk man eating popcorn that just looks like he just stabbed a guy next to a sewer lid with a Bigfoot in it. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I'm just waiting for like a UFO to come in and beam up the little guy in the sewer lid thing.
Fair enough.
Wow. I love that we brought the extraterrestrial into
Yeah.
the game.
I mean, at this point, why not? There's everything else in there, right? We got Bigfoot and the whole deal.
Yeah, Bigfoot. That's who's in the thing. Yeah, they need a UFO beaming him up from that.
Where is Bigfoot?
Right there in the sewer.
Yeah, in the sewer lid, if that's what that is. That's what it looks like to me.
I'm going to get
There
with that.
is a sewer lid on the street, right? In
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
in front of the drunk guy.
Go in
who,
front of
for
that.
some reason, is thinking about muscle. So I'm thinking he's thinking he's a big guy now. Because I agree, he stabbed that dude. You know.
Yeah, he
lying on
stabbed
the
that dude.
street
Now he
there.
thinks he's a big man. Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he's a big man now because, like, you know, he's smaller than the guy he stabbed, which you can see if, like, you know, if you sort of turn him upright. Maybe he had like a Napoleon complex, which is actually a wrong thing to say because Napoleon was not short. It was propaganda against him to make him look weak, but he was actually taller than the people of his age. This was, sorry, I digress. But the thing that you are calling a sewer lid and Bigfoot in it, I think it's just that guy who's dying and he's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh,
That's what. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me as well.
More than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Paul, I appreciate you playing along. I know that's kind of not what you planned on, but we like to play a little bit.
It's fun though.
And people love it. And so if fans want to find you guys, can you drop your socials?
Yes, Facebook. First of all, the band is pronounced Coldwards, but it's spelled Coldwards. You can find us at facebook.com/Coldwards, Instagram at Coldwards Music, YouTube, you can just search Coldwards. And also, I want to invite everyone, please go to our YouTube channel and check out our videos. I think we have 6 videos on there now, including Bad News. And make sure you hit the subscribe button, not only for my band, for any bands you like, because it really helps them, you know, with YouTube royalties and algorithms and stuff like that. So
yeah,
definitely go check
exposure.
that out.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, Paul, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Than's for having me, really.
Good luck with the record.
It was lovely.
I love what you guys are doing. I love the whole family vibe with it too. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Be well, my friend.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello out there.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.